U.S. Deputy Secretary of State of the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Jane Zimmerman, states that as the oldest democracy in South Asia, Sri Lanka should work towards expanding the space for civil society and ensure free expression in the media in improving the human rights situation in the country. Deputy Assistant Secretary Jane Zimmerman made this statement during an exclusive interview with News First Mahina Bongso in Washington, D.C.
The government of Sri Lanka is facing challenges with regard to commitments to human rights and the democratic principles. From your American foreign policy perspective, what are the primary impediments to greater guarantees of human and civil rights in Sri Lanka?
There's been a lot of progress since the conflict ended, and I think it's important to note what has been achieved, but also, as you noted, to see what kind of impediments exist and what more can be done. There is more work that needs to be done, particularly expanding the space for civil society, for journalists such as yourself, and for free expression in media. Making sure that there's free and open access to the internet, for example. Making sure that journalists can go out there and get the stories, ask the hard questions, and show the public what's going on and be able to report freely and fairly without any interference. So those are among some of the things which could be done to improve the human rights situation. Also, we'd like to see the elections in the north moved up sooner. We'd like to see, I think along with other members of the international community, a reduced role for the military in what is normally a civilian sphere. There's so much potential to do even more in Sri Lanka because of its long history and traditions as the oldest democracy in South Asia.
The next United Nations Periodic Review will be held in November, and Sri Lanka will be in the spotlight because the next UN Periodic Review will be on Sri Lanka. What sort of role will the United States play during this periodic review?
Like others during the periodic review, the United States will be looking at the government's update on progress since the last periodic review in 2008. We'll be looking at the recommendations which were adopted and approved back in 2008, what the implementation has been since then, as well as assessing the current situation and what has happened since 2008. Again, I believe that Sri Lanka has the capacity to implement the lessons learned, to implement measures under its own action plan, but we need to see that kind of tangible, demonstrable progress, the actual steps taking place. Implementation is key.